Hello Slayers, welcome back to my channel. Today we're discussing season 3 of Outlander, which I believe is my favorite thus far on first watch. To me, this season's Jamie and Claire's epic love story is like they've never been more in love and connected, and we never knew or understood these characters deeper. From the show perspective, not the books, as I did not read them and don't know if I ever could read that big of a book. I saw like on Audible, each book is like 29 to 34 plus hours, which is wild. I would love to though, honestly, but that's gonna be quite the journey, isn't it? So yeah, this is a big season for me. Freaking loved it. Okay, so I did decide to start watching season 5 on my own. I'm low-key getting stressed out about it, and I think I'm just going to react to season 7, the spin-off, and season 8 when it comes out early 2026. Unless these recaps go crazy and you guys are like, no, watch it. I think that's just what I'm gonna do. Because also one of you guys said that season 6 is your least favorite season, and I'm not saying or thinking it's gonna be mine, but I'd rather just do season 7 that it's everyone's third favorite, at least, more or less. Okay, so this is me reacting to Princess Plotlines recaps. Love her. I love refreshing and like following along as I watch the seasons to just like make sure I'm fully locked in. I'm on season 5, episode 2, starting it, and I do know that I never met Gaelus's kid, and maybe we never will. Don't tell me, but I just want to follow up on what I said. And I also kind of low-key forgot that Gaelus and Dougal is Roger's great times 1,000 grandparents, which is so cool. And it made me realize, spoiler, that technically Roger and Brianna are related through the Mackenzie whatever. I mean, it really doesn't count, but that's just funny.
Time we saw Claire at the end of season 2. She had just discovered that Jamie survived the Battle of Culloden. Now let's see what season 3 of Outlander has in store for our favorite couple. Keep your fingers crossed for a reunion. The season begins right after the Battle of Culloden, which was as brutal as we expected. Lots of lives were lost, mostly on the Jacobite side. Jamie wakes up on the battlefield with Black Jack Randall's body lying on top of him. Then we flash back to Jamie running across the battlefield, dodging cannon fire and taking on any redcoat that comes his way. It's crazy chaos. How this is how war was. Everywhere. And then, in the middle of all this madness, time seems to stand still, and Jamie locks eyes with Black Jack Randall.
Great shots,
they immediately begin
lighting.
to hack wildly at each other. This is the showdown Jamie's been waiting for since he found out that Randall survived the cow stampede. It's a savage fight,
honestly
and they both
think
know
that it was a little underwhelming in a way.
It's a matter of kill or be killed. Randall gets stabbed but keeps fighting. Still, he's only human, and eventually, Jamie gets the upper hand and kills him. Before Jamie passes out again, he hallucinates Claire coming to him across the field.
I don't know, like I feel like I needed blood splattered. I don't know. But I love how he falls on top of him and kind of protects Jamie, not in a romantic way, in sense of it just makes Jamie look deader and safer for him to not get hurt.
They hide out in a rickety barn with some other survivors, and the mood is beyond grim. Then the Redcoats show up and announce they will be executing all the Jacobite traitors. Rupert makes his peace with Jamie and accepts his fate bravely. Jamie is clearly ready to die too, having lost both Claire and the baby. But when he announces his name to the clerk, the Redcoat officer in charge, whose name is Lord Melton, is visibly shocked. His younger brother is John Grey, the guy whose life Jamie spared last season. And as I told you, a Grey never forgets an obligation. So instead of executing Jamie, Lord Melton loads him into a wagon and sends him home to Lallybrook, thus honoring his brother's death. Now we jump to 1948.
We get a lot of more Jenny
Frank
this
and Claire
season,
are living
right?
together in Boston, but
That's
things
also
are very
something I
tense
love.
between them. Frank
This is
sincerely
such
tries to
an
make their
interesting
relationship work, but Claire has very little patience. Plus, she won't let him touch her. Still, they stick together, and Claire eventually gives birth to a beautiful baby girl. Frank is clearly besotted with baby Brianna, and he and Claire have a brief moment of mutual understanding and forgiveness.
That's really nice that they had that moment. That was so special, and having it over baby Brianna was really sweet, because I really do feel hard for Frank. Like, it sucks being Frank out here, but he does get a little irritating, as it makes sense. And it's just because we go hard for Claire, really.
Until a nosy nurse asks where the baby got her fiery red hair. Awkward. Back in the 18th century, it's now 1752. The English have a bounty on Jamie Jamie's head again. This poor guy just can't catch a break.
Never.
So he's living in a cave near Lallybrook, sporting a bushy beard, matted hair, and sad eyes. Jenny is hugely pregnant again, and the Redcoats are threatening to hang every man, woman, and child in Lallybrook if they don't turn in Jamie. Fergus has grown a ton, and he's quite a handful. One day, when he's leading the Redcoats away from Jamie's hiding spot by baiting and teasing them, disaster strikes. The Redcoats intercept him and chop off his hand. Jamie rushes Fergus back to Lallybrook before he bleeds out, and pledges to take care of him for the rest of his life. This is a huge wake-up call for Jamie. He realizes he still has things worth fighting for, but if he keeps going like this, he's putting...
That was so nice to see that moment of him. He was so... It didn't really show this in the recap because time. He really gave up on life. Claire's his everything, could only wish. And having that moment with Fergus as a child, if he does, like, it took him losing the hand, like, so sorry, but that was such a deep, crazy way to bring Jamie a little bit back to reality. Just shows how sweet he is. Like, ugh.
His entire family in danger. So Jamie makes a gut-wrenching decision. He asks Jenny to turn him into the English and collect the bounty. That way, they'll never question her loyalty again. Jenny refuses at first, but Jamie won't let it go, so she finally agrees. The night before the English soldiers arrest him, Mary, the maidservant from Lallybrook, comes to his cave and offers him some physical comfort. This doesn't make what comes next any easier, though. Jamie is hauled away by the Redcoats, while Jenny yells that she'll never forgive him for making her do this. Fast forward...
It's interesting how she's yelling at him and it comes off to the British like she's on their side, but she actually means that because he made her do that. But it was so right of Jamie to do and so protectful. Also, him having sex with that rando. I've always been like this. Whenever the guys have sex, like, I hate it. For example, like Buffy and Angel, I wanted Buffy to go off and like do her thing, but when it came to Angel, I never wanted him to move on from Buffy. So I felt like that with that scene too, but there was no actual connection. And nice, I guess, that Jamie got it in before going to prison and whatnot, and he deserved a moment literally of that, I suppose. And a poor lady, like, she probably needed it too, and what an honor.
To 1949. Things between Claire and Frank are a bit better for a while, but Claire just can't seem to let go of Jamie, and that ends up creating a huge rift between them.
I was
Over
like,
the years,
whoa,
things fall apart even more. Frank starts seeing another woman named Sandy, while Claire throws herself into her studies and becomes a surgeon. At one point,
they made a pact that it was pretty much an open relationship, which I'm shocked the recapper didn't mention that, or did she? So like, it's not like he's cheating, but he told the girl to like come to the house, but there was like a surprise party for Claire, so it was just bad tangled timing. And I do like Claire kind of being jealous about it because that's just so real.
Suggests they get a divorce, but Frank can't bear to be away from Brianna, so they continue making each other miserable. This arrangement persists until Bree graduates from high school. That's when Frank announces he wants a divorce because he plans to marry Sandy.
Like, but he just did that for Brianna when he shouldn't have. He should have gotten the divorce.
Not all. He's also moving to England and wants to take Brianna with him. Claire is furious. They have a huge fight and Frank storms out. A few hours later, he dies in a car accident. Claire identifies his body at the morgue. She tells...
So just being Outlander, like, I expected him to, like, I guess kind of like die tragically. So when it was just like a car accident, I was like, whoa, that's still so dark, because it isn't tragic. Like, it's just like something bad that happened. So crazy. What did she tell him?
He was her first love, and she loved him deeply, despite the distance that had grown between them. Back in 1755, Jamie is stuck in Ardsmuir prison, and Lord John Grey, now all grown up, has just been made a new governor, a job apparently reserved for people who screwed up.
I cannot wait. I'm in season 5. I was expecting like a storyline. We'll get there. I was being delusional a little bit with him, and this goes against what I said about the men in the romance, but we'll get there. I really hope, no spoilers, that this man falls in love with a man and we get to see a gay romance plotline. And it has to be within season 5 or 6, I would assume. So like, that's also low-key why I would have loved to react to it, because there's a little gay in the mix, and obviously I react to a lot of gay content, not really on purpose, but Queer as Folk is the show that been reacting to for years, and I get requested a lot of whatever. So I just felt like it would really fit on my channel to be reacting to it. But I guess as long as I react to these recaps and then season 7, it's fine. but we're gonna talk a lot more about him. Again, don't tell me.
When John sees Jamie, he pretends not to recognize him. And at first, it seems like Jamie doesn't recognize John either. Then the Redcoats bring in a crazy Scot who's babbling in a mix of Gaelic and French about some French treasure on an island. John thinks this might be about the gold the King of France sent to Charles Stuart, so he asks Jamie to translate. In return, Jamie gets his chains removed and secures blankets for Murtagh and the other prisoners. The Scot mentions a white witch seeking a brave man before dropping dead, which makes Jamie think Claire might be on that island. But when John asks what the guy said, Jamie claims it was all nonsense and sneaks off to go investigate the first chance he gets. John chases him, and it's clear he does remember Jamie. But instead of killing him, as he once promised, John lets him live. Jamie claims all he found on the island was a sapphire and hands it over to John. From then on, the two start bonding. They share meals, play chess, and open up about their pasts. Jamie tells John about Claire,
Jamie tells John about Claire. Yeah.
John reveals he also lost someone he loved. But when John lingers a little too long while touching Jamie's hand one night, Jamie shuts it down fast, warning him not to cross the line or he'd kill him. Winter arrives.
Yeah. So I low-key thought that there was going to be a romance, and at a point in time, there's going to be a stretch of time, and not a romance. Jamie loved him, but kind of this weird, or not weird, kind of this connection that they had where it was kind of just like a favor for both of them. But that never happens, and I think that was just like my gay mind. And I also know that I believe there's gonna be a gay storyline more so. So like I just was like, is that it? And I would have just, as a homosexual, I would have been like here for that, like while Claire's away for 20 years. But yeah, that doesn't happen. And Jamie was so scary with that "I'll kill you" thing.
And the prison is closed. All the prisoners, including Murtagh, are sent to the colonies as indentured servants, except Jamie. His status as a traitor disqualifies him, but John pulls some strings and gets him a job tending horses in England at the Dunsany family estate called Hellwater.
This vibe.
At first, everything seems to go smoothly at Hellwater. Jamie works as a groom under the name Mackenzie, keeping a low profile. The Dunsanys lost a son at Culloden, and while Lord Dunsany knows Jamie is a Jacobite, Lady Dunsany has no idea. Things take a turn when Geneva, the Dunsanys' eldest daughter, gets engaged to Lord Ellesmere, a man old enough to be her father. Geneva is not thrilled about the arrangement. Desperate to avoid losing her virginity to an old man, she throws herself at Jamie. When that doesn't work, she resorts to blackmail, threatening Jamie with his family's safety if he doesn't sleep with her. Reluctantly, Jamie agrees. Geneva ends up pregnant, and she marries Ellesmere, but
okay, but she dies. Okay, so that was also pretty interesting, I guess. Killed me that he got her pregnant because of Claire, but it was also so interesting. It really does add to the story. And I mean, Claire is gone. He thinks she's never coming back. And I mean, he was blackmailed, which is so messed up, but I do love what's to come out of it.
Tragically dies giving birth to a baby boy named William.
So she dies.
Since Ellesmere and Geneva were never intimate, the Earl realizes the baby isn't his and, in a fit of rage, threatens to kill the child. Jamie steps in and saves the day, shooting Ellesmere in the head to protect the baby. As a thank you, Lady Dunsany offers to arrange Jamie's release, but he chooses to stay at Hellwater to be close to baby Willie. A few years pass, and as Willie grows,
so adorable.
It becomes harder
I
to ignore his
loved all
resemblance
of
to Jamie.
this.
So Jamie decides it's time to leave. Before he goes, Jamie asks Lord John to look after his son, and even offers him his body in exchange for the favor. Thankfully, Lord
Okay, that was crazy, and I love John Gray for saying no. Like, that is so nice, and especially everything that Jamie has been through with Jack Black Randall and just in general. And I can't even imagine how hard I would have, if I was John Gray, I'd be like, no, but let's just give me a little kiss. But this is so cool of John to like turn down that offer, and it just shows like what a good man he is, I guess, right? And just as a loyal friend to Jamie, that he's going to love and take care of William.
John is far too honorable to take Jamie up on that offer.
Too honorable.
He agrees to care for Willie and eventually marries Geneva's sister Isabel.
Okay, I think that too is when the first seed planted that I was like, but is something gonna happen on good terms, on terms that it's equal, but hasn't
Meanwhile,
happened.
in 1968, Claire, Brianna, and Roger are digging into Jamie's history. They uncover a few mentions of him here and there, but nothing
this was
substantial.
all
Feeling
so
disheartened,
fun
Claire decides
to
it's
me.
time to head back to Boston. Before they leave, Bree and Roger, who've been growing closer over the past few weeks, finally share their first kiss. A few months pass, and Claire buries herself in work, while Brianna struggles to cope. She's failing her classes and finding it difficult to process everything that's happened. Then Roger shows up in Boston with some good news. He found a 1765 pamphlet containing the phrase "freedom" and "whiskey gang together," a quote Claire often repeated to Jamie. It also includes a line of poetry by
remember that.
Robert Burns, who wouldn't have been old enough to write it at the time. Most tellingly,
That
the
is
printer
such
is listed
a
as
good,
Alexander Malcolm,
Clock
two of
it.
Jamie's middle names. Claire tries hard not to get her hopes up, but it's clear this has to be Jamie's pamphlet. And that would mean Claire has to decide if she wants to go looking for him or stay in the present with Brianna. While she's mulling it over, she distracts herself by examining some human remains sent over by an anthropologist. Bones found in a Caribbean cave that belonged to a white woman who died 150 years ago, most likely the victim of murder. Joe Abernathy, Claire's colleague and friend, notices her inner turmoil and offers some advice. If life is giving her a second chance at love, she should take it. Brianna also encourages her to find Jamie. She reassures Claire that while she loves her, she doesn't need her to stay. That settles it. Brianna and Roger prepare a time travel pack for Claire, complete with a history book, old coins.
I feel like in a more realistic way, but again, we just need to move the plot forward, and of course we want Claire to go back to Jamie. I just feel like there should have been a little more push and pull between Claire's decision, just because you're leaving your 20-year-old daughter for a guy, for a man, for her father at least. Obviously you could look at it multiple ways, but my mother better never leave me is what I'm saying.
Supplies,
but I don't know, it's so strong of Brianna. It's amazing.
A necklace with a topaz to help her pass through the stones,
and like
Claire
she
also
wants
sews her own 18th century wardrobe and dyes her hair to cover the gray. At last, Claire's ready to say goodbye to Brianna and Roger. And then poof, she's in 18th century Edinburgh.
That was also, I found, a little overwhelming. We didn't see her go to the stones. Anytime we get to touch the stone, I want to see that. I couldn't believe the way it just transitioned. But I mean, the puddle thing was cute, I guess. If you know, you know. But I was like, oh, okay, we're just back after that extreme build-up.
Or we can fully process the enormity of the moment. Claire walks into Jamie's print shop. The doorbell chimes, Jamie's voice echoes from the back, and Claire's face lights up with joy. He's facing away from her, totally unaware, but when he hears her voice, he turns around very slowly, and the moment his eyes land on her, the shock is too much. He faints on the spot. Claire runs over to help.
Okay, we gotta talk about this. This is when I was having full body fucking reactions and squealing on how good this show was. This was the moment where I was like, I should have been reacting to this on my channel because I have so many feels and so much going through my mind, and this is the greatest thing ever. So it didn't explain this. So when he faints, the episode ends, and then in the next episode it takes you back a little bit in the perspective of Jamie, and the way that was just so freaking good to see his perspective. Guys, I was just like, kiss her, kiss him, hug. And then I also realized in this moment too, they don't say I love you enough. And apparently, I think that was a creative choice. That way, when it's said, it's like stronger, but I'm pretty sure they don't say I love you here. And I'm like, guys, what the fuck? Hello? I mean, obviously, it's shown in actions in every way possible. I believe they don't say I love you here. And I'm like, what?
Jamie and reassure him that she's really there. Turns out Jamie spilled his drink all over his pants when he fell down.
That was
so of
so
course
funny
he has to take them
and
off.
cute
A few
and
seconds later, they're
random.
kissing. And this has to be the best kiss in the world. They're both crying and kissing.
Oh my, I
completely
was
overwhelmed by the moment. But then Jamie's assistant walks in,
but they don't say I love
horrified
you.
to find Jamie making out with some lady in the middle of the day and without his pants on.
Who was
Jamie
that
quickly
again?
ushers Claire in, absolutely world. They're both crying and kissing, completely overwhelmed by the moment. But then Jamie's assistant walks in, absolutely horrified to find Jamie making out with some lady in the middle of the day and without his pants on. Jamie quickly ushers Claire to the back of the shop before anyone else shows up. That's when they start catching up. Claire tells him all about Brianna and even shows him some photos she brought along. She also mentions that she's now a surgeon.
This was the cutest thing. I couldn't even take it, guys. I was like literally tweaking. This has never happened to me before. He was so cute, like understanding like what a photograph was. It was just so adorable. And I also loved the unexpected awkwardness between Claire and Jamie, because you would think it would just go right back, but they lived for 20 years doing their own thing. It's almost like, how do you act when you guys are back together after all that time, basically thinking each other is dead? Well, Claire for sure.
Tells her about Willie, and Claire is incredibly understanding.
Yes.
All that matters is that they're together again. Suddenly, Jamie remembers he has a commitment, so Claire decides to go with him. Out on the street, they run into a grown-up Fergus, and he's overjoyed to see Claire again. Shortly after, they meet Jamie's somewhat shady Chinese associate, Mr. Willoughby. Then Jamie takes Claire back to the brothel where he's been living. But don't worry, he's not a customer. He's just using the place as a base for his side hustle smuggling liquor with the madam. Once they're alone in his room, Jamie and Claire talk, and it's clear that they still deeply love and want each other. Where he's been living. But don't worry, he's not a customer. He's just using the place as a base for his side hustle smuggling liquor with the madam. Once they're alone in his room, Jamie and Claire talk, and it's clear that they still deeply love and want each other. The sexual tension is off the charts.
Except they don't say it.
Eventually they give in, and it's like they're making up for 20 lost years in one passionate night. By morning, they're still at it. They can't keep their hands off each other.
The whole episode was them in bed just talking, having sex, time passing, doing it again, I believe. And I was not bored. There was like not much of the episode. Like it was just like them catching up in 20 years. Like I was eating it up. It was so good. Just the build of the show, like it just made so much sense. I this is my favorite season. It really is.
Unfortunately, Jamie has to leave to take care of some business. While he's gone, Claire has breakfast with the prostitutes, and when
I
she
love
returns to Jamie's
this.
room, she finds a random guy rummaging through Jamie's
Crazy.
belongings, searching for some ledgers. That's when all hell breaks loose. Claire pulls out a knife to defend herself, and when she tries to
Hell
stab the
yeah.
man, he falls backwards, hitting his head on the stone fireplace and knocking himself unconscious.
Crazy.
It turns out
And
the man is an enforcer for Sir Percival Turner, the superintending customs officer for the Edinburgh district. Sir Percival turns a blind eye to Jamie's smuggling in exchange for bribes. Jamie suspects this enforcer was sent to figure out where he's hiding the whiskey. Spoiler, it's in the brothel's basement. Now Jamie has to sell it off as fast as possible, even if it means taking a lower price. Claire tries to save Sir Percival's thug, but he doesn't make it, so Jamie hides the corpse.
I thought it was a little odd the way Claire was like, it again, it didn't like fully explain the scene, but if you know, you know. Like she was so about saving him and stuff like that, and I guess she felt that way because A, she's a good person, and B, because it was at her hand. But like he was fully gonna rape and like kill her. So I thought she went a little too hard for him, but I'm happy she did it, and I'm happy he died.
In a barrel of creme de menthe, and Claire goes off to play doctor somewhere else. She treats a mentally unstable fortune teller
This
who
was
supposedly
cool.
has visions. The woman's brother keeps her drugged with laudanum and plans to take her to the West Indies. Claire knows this is
Who
a very
supposedly has visions. See, I like when this dabbles in reality and fantasy, because you cannot question that like psychics have said things, I'm talking in real life, that have truly happened. And like I know personal stories of other people that's unexplainable. I'm a Long Island medium fan.
bad idea, but she can't do anything to prevent it. Meanwhile, disaster strikes again, this time at Jamie's print shop. But first, if you're enjoying this recap, please remember to subscribe.
Princess
That really helps me a lot.
Plotline.
Meanwhile,
Subscribe to me,
disaster
please.
strikes again, this time at
Let
Jamie's
me
print
know again if you guys want me to continue. Comment below, thumbs this up, share it, make some noise for me, guys.
shop. Young Ian Murray.
And Princess Plotline.
That really helps me a lot. Meanwhile, disaster strikes again, this time at Jamie's print shop. Young Ian Murray, Jenny and Ian's youngest son, who works there with Jamie, finds another one of Sir Percival's thugs, searching for Jamie's stash of booze. Instead, the thug discovers seditious pamphlets Jamie's been printing, sets the shop on fire, and escapes. Jamie rushes in like the hero he is and saves Ian, but the entire shop burns
this was
to the
going to be
ground.
such
Now
a
Jamie's facing
major
arrest for
plot
sedition,
line, and then it just it burns down. I'm like, no. I was so here for like the shop scene, but it obviously makes sense moving forward.
Things will only get worse if anyone finds the body hidden in the creme de menthe barrel. So Jamie decides to leave town and take young Ian back to Lallybroch. When they arrive, Jenny is far from
We
pleased.
get a lot
From
of
her
Jenny.
perspective, Claire vanished after Culloden without even writing to Jamie's family to check if her husband had survived. Fiercely loyal to her brother, Jenny isn't about to forgive Claire.
Fiercely. She is so fierce. That is such a good word. And maybe viewers would find Jenny annoying for this, but I really like the way that Jenny like carries herself and like is, and I love how hurt Claire is by her coldness. And I love that Jenny just deep down knows that like Claire isn't telling her the full story, so like why would she open up to her type of thing. Just so good. It's just so good.
Easily. And Jenny's anger isn't just reserved for Claire. She's also furious with Jamie for letting young Ian work alongside him smuggling illegal
And
liquor.
the
but Jenny
actress
isn't the only
is
angry
just
woman
so
Jamie
good.
and Claire have to deal with. Leary shows up at Lallybroch,
Oh
dragging her daughters
my
Marsley and Jenny along.
God.
As it turns out, Leary is Jamie's new wife, and she's
Guys, I was screaming. There was fire coming out of my ears with this scene when she walked in and I found out that Jamie married this wretched woman. I was appalled. I have never felt so betrayed by a man that is not mine. And I was like, how the hell are they going to make the math? And we'll get there, but they did a good job. But I can't believe that at the same time Jamie would go back to this whack bitch.
furious, demanding that Claire stay away from her husband. Naturally, Claire wants answers, but Jamie doesn't have a good excuse for marrying the woman who once tried to have Claire burned as a witch.
Which
this
is
leads to a massive
insane.
fight, and somehow, that fight transitions into a heated, passionate moment on the bedroom floor.
And
Their
then-
reunion is abruptly cut short when Jenny tosses a bucket of cold
Yes,
water
Jenny,
on
I love
them, as
you.
though they were dogs in heat. But the drama is far from over. The very next day,
Far.
Leary storms back to Lallybrook and shoots Jamie in the arm. Luckily, Claire's there to
Stupid.
patch him up and administer a dose of penicillin she brought from the 20th century. Jamie then turns to Ned Gallen for help annulling his marriage to Leary. Ned explains that the marriage is invalid anyway, since Claire is still alive. To smooth things over with Leary,
Oh
Jamie
my
agrees to pay her
god, I missed that. Sorry about it.
Hefty's marriage is invalid anyway, since Claire is still alive. To smooth things over with Leary, Jamie agrees to pay her a hefty sum in alimony and child support. This is when we learn Jamie has a hidden treasure. Remember the island he visited while at Ardsmuir? He lied to Lord John. The sapphire wasn't the only thing he found. There was an entire
whole
chest of
box.
jewels. However, with his
Trust.
arm still injured from Leary's gunshot, Jamie can't retrieve the treasure himself. The dangerous task of swimming out to the island falls to young Ian. As Jamie and Claire watch his nephew, Jamie takes the opportunity to try to mend things
And
with
the
Claire.
drama
She, however, begins to
continues.
question whether they're really meant to be together after all. Jamie
Which
pleads
was
with
so
her, asking her to
crazy.
risk the man he's become for the sake of the man she once loved. But we don't get to hear Claire's answer. The unthinkable happens. A ship appears near the
Unthinkable.
island, men disembark, and Ian is intercepted. He's dragged onto the unknown ship along with the treasure chest. There's absolutely nothing Claire and Jamie can do to stop it.
Nothing.
Jamie launches a rescue mission.
And that truly sets up the rest of the drama moving forward. The timing is just so bad. What was I gonna say?
For Ian after his cousin Jared learns that the ship that took him was bound for the West Indies. Jamie sends a letter to Jenny, informing her of the situation and vowing not to set foot on Scottish soil again until young Ian is safely by his side. Jamie secures a job as a supercargo on the Artemis, a vessel sailing to Jamaica. He won't be traveling alone. Claire, Mr. Willoughby, and a few of Jamie's friends from Ardsmuir will join him on the journey. At the last minute, Fergus shows up as well, with Leary's eldest daughter Marsley in tow. It turns out the two have been secretly courting and are now
I feel like in the recap she didn't explain it. Maybe it didn't happen yet. But okay, first off, I've been waiting for them to like have like a parody-esque sailing at sea moment. So I also love that just for that sake. I also love like Jamie being seasick, like just so cute. And I also think it's funny that it's a superstition to have a redhead on board and a woman. So like I just love that that puts them at odds in the ship sphere. So I don't know if she explained this, but or she's going to. When I said how are they gonna make sense of Jamie marrying that witch, and I don't mean like witchy, it was of course through the children, because Jamie has the purest, sweetest, kindest, beautiful heart. She seems like a little iffy. Like I wish they made me like this one more, but the younger one is so like adorable, and like I kind of wish there was more with that, but whatever. Let's remove ourselves from Laurie. Why can't I think of her name? Laurie? From like this season on, you don't see her, so I'm so scared for her to like pop up. I'm also, well, that's too ahead. Okay, but yeah, this is interesting. Let's continue.
Leary's eldest daughter Marsley in tow. It turns out the two have been secretly courting and are now handfasted. Jamie is far from pleased. Since the marriage won't be
Far
binding
from
until it's
pleased.
consummated, Jamie insists that Marsley must share a bunk with Claire. This arrangement is less than ideal, as Marsley believes Claire is both a whore and possibly a witch,
Yeah,
while Claire
like,
thinks Marsley might be
ew.
as unhinged as her mother.
And I love when he says for Claire and her to sleep in the same room, and Claire is like, what? At the same time as the kid. But Claire is usually so nice and wouldn't say how she feels, and when she says what, like that's how you know it's bad.
And let's be honest, after 20 years apart, sharing a cabin with Leary's daughter is the last thing Claire wanted. Even so, she and Jamie still managed to steal a few steamy moments together.
Of course.
But of course, nothing ever goes smoothly for these two.
Oh,
Jamie
God.
suffers from severe seasickness, and the superstitious crew begins blaming Jamie's group for a string of bad luck the ship encounters, as women and redheads are considered bad omens on
That's
board.
so funny.
Luckily, Mr. Willoughby has a solution for both problems: acupuncture for Jamie's seasickness and a captivating story to distract the angry sailors. Just as the situation starts
Which
to
was
settle,
so
trouble
random to
arrives in the
me.
form of a British man of war called the Porpoise. The ship is plagued by a typhoid outbreak and desperately needs a doctor. Claire volunteers to tend to the sick, knowing she's protected by her vaccination. Jamie strongly
was
opposes
so
the idea,
cool.
and his worries are well-founded, because as soon as Claire boards the Porpoise, it sets sail, leaving Jamie behind.
Of
Jamie tries
course.
to take control of the Artemis when the captain refuses to chase after Claire, but his efforts only result in his being thrown into the brig. While Jamie stews in his makeshift prison, Claire tends to patients suffering from typhoid fever on the Porpoise. Once the outbreak is under control, Claire sneaks into the captain's cabin and makes a shocking discovery. The man who burned Jamie's print shop is on board the ship and has informed the captain that Jamie is wanted for murder in Scotland. Authorities discovered a body in the barrel of creme de menthe, which means Jamie will be sentenced to hang as soon as he sets foot in Jamaica. Determined to warn him, Claire hatches a daring plan. With the help of one of the women...
The thought of them going to Jamaica was the weirdest thing. Like, would have never correlated Jamaica and Outlander, but I was so excited for them to get there.
Board the ship, she builds a makeshift raft out of barrels and plunges into the sea, hoping to reach the nearest island. Meanwhile, on the Artemis, Marsley manages to negotiate Jamie's release. Grateful for her efforts, Jamie finally gives his blessing for Fergus and Marsley to marry once they reach Jamaica. Let's get back to Claire, who washes up on the desolate beaches of Hispaniola. Exhausted and disoriented, she searches desperately for water but fails, eventually passing out in the middle of the jungle. She's rescued by a former priest named Father Fogden. While kind and hospitable, he's clearly a bit unhinged. He frequently talks to his coconut companion, much like Tom Hanks talked to Wilson in Castaway. When Claire is ready to leave for a nearby village so she can secure passage to Jamaica, Father Fogden refuses to let her go. Realizing she's at his mercy, Claire grows increasingly frustrated. But the next day, she overhears a commotion. One of Fogden's goats has been killed by a Chinese sailor. Claire immediately suspects Mr. Willoughby is involved, meaning Jamie must be nearby. And she's right.
This felt too easy, low-key. It's just crazy, the coincidences, but we love to see it.
Has indeed washed ashore after a storm at sea. With the captain dead, Jamie has taken command. The crew is hard at work repairing the masts so they can set sail again. Claire runs desperately to the beach, but by the time she arrives, the ship is about to leave. Thinking quickly, she uses a mirror she took from Father Fogden to reflect sunlight and signal the ship. Jamie spots her immediately and hurries back to shore. Claire throws herself into his arms, overwhelmed with relief. With a little time to spare before sailing for Jamaica, Jamie asks Father Fogden to marry Fergus and Marsley. But first, Mr. Willoughby must apologize for killing and eating Father Fogden's favorite goat. Claire and Marsley share a touching moment, finally beginning to bond. Jamie and Fergus also share an emotional scene when Jamie gives Fergus his last name, a necessary gesture since Father Fogden refused to marry someone without a proper surname. Back on the ship, Claire and Jamie celebrate their reunion with some much-needed quality time together, enhanced by aphrodisiac turtle soup. And now we flash back to a few months earlier when young Ian was captured. The sailors considered killing him, but decided to keep him alive for someone they called the Bakra, who apparently has a preference for young boys.
Who that
when they arrive in Jamaica, Ian is thrown into a pit with other boys, who warn him that no one ever comes back after meeting the Bakra. Finally, Ian is summoned, and he's horrified when a woman steps out of a pool of goat blood. It's none other than Galis Duncan. Rumors of her death were greatly exaggerated. Galis questions Ian over tea and pastries laced with a truth serum. She's looking for the missing sapphire from the box he was carrying. Ian admits his uncle Jamie Fraser might have it. That's exactly what Galis was hoping to hear. She knows Jamie will come for Ian. When Ian asks what happened to the other boys she summoned, Galis casually admits she had her way with them, and
never ever was expecting to see her again. It was kind of cool even though she's so sinister.
Plans to do the same with Ian. Meanwhile, Jamie and Claire arrive in Jamaica and begin searching for Ian. First stop, the slave market. Claire is disgusted by the trade and causes a scene, forcing Jamie to purchase a man named Temeraire to avoid drawing too much attention. In exchange for his freedom, Temeraire offers to help them find Ian. Next stop, the governor's ball, where they hope one of the wealthy attendees might have bought Ian. At the party, Jamie discovers that Lord John Grey is the new governor of Jamaica. Claire senses Lord John's lingering feelings for Jamie and subtly makes it clear that she's here to stay. Then Claire sees something she...
Yeah, this is where I was like, I bet over the course of 20 years something happened, but that never came to fruition, so I guess it didn't. It doesn't and it won't, because it definitely didn't happen that between Jamie and John Grey. I guess it's far-fetched and pretty unrealistic, but I don't know, it kind of made sense the way it like happened. I don't know, but I guess not. I just want John Grey to fall in love with someone else, not Jamie.
She approaches her, and Galis explains that Dougal bribed some men to burn a dead woman in her place. He arranged for their child to be cared for and smuggled Galis away. She eventually married a Jamaican sugar planter named Abernathy, who has since died, leaving her his estate, called Rose Hall. Claire tells Galis about Ian's kidnapping, and Galis offers to help find him, but we all know she's lying. She only wants the missing sapphire. She's hired Margaret, the mentally unstable fortune teller Claire once treated in Scotland, and she needs the gem for a fortune-telling ritual. Luckily, Lord John held on to Jamie's gift, and Galis persuades him to hand it over so Margaret can tell his fortune. Margaret's prophecy is cryptic. A new king will rise in Scotland after the death of a child who is 200 years old on the day of its birth. Then Temeraire appears with a key piece of information. Ian is being held at Rose Hall, and Galis is behind everything. The night takes a dangerous turn when Captain Leonard from the Porpoise crashes the party. Jamie and Claire flee, heading for Rose Hall. But first, they make a quick stop to drop off Temeraire at a secret settlement for freed slaves. Unfortunately, Captain Leonard intercepts them and arrests Jamie. As he's dragged away, he yells for Claire to keep going and find young Ian, which means she'll have to face Galis alone. So Claire heads to Rose Hall and starts sneaking around the plantation's slave quarters until Galis manservant catches her. She's taken to Galus, who now believes Claire has been working against her from the very beginning, trying to stop the Scottish king from taking the British throne. Completely baffled, Claire explains that she spent the last 20 years in the future and only came back to find Jamie, not because of some ulterior motive. To prove it, she shows Galus some photos of Brianna, which turns out to be a huge mistake. Galus becomes convinced that Jamie and Claire's daughter is the 200-year-old baby, whose death will bring about the rise of a new Scottish king. Meanwhile, John Grey comes to the rescue yet again.
Which, was that ever totally fleshed out? Because, like, I totally was expecting the 200-year-old baby to be Brianna. Well, then, like, he kind of, spoiler, like, does kind of become the leader in, like, now season 5. But is that a connection there? Like, I'm not sure. I don't know if you guys can tell me that.
Meanwhile, John Grey comes to the rescue yet again, arranging for Jamie to be released, meaning Jamie is once more in his debt. Back at Rose Hall, Claire's locked up in Galus's house until Jamie arrives. She tells him she just saw young Ian being taken away, so they set off to rescue him. Following the sound of drums, they stumble upon a ceremonial dance, eerily similar to the one Claire and Frank saw at Craignadoon.
So
they spot Margaret there, along with Mr. Willoughby. Apparently those two are now a couple. Claire and Jamie soon discover that Galus plans to travel to the future through a portal in a cave called Abandawe. Her plan is to kill Brianna to bring about the rise of a Scottish king, and she's going to use young Ian as a blood sacrifice to cross through the portal. So Jamie and Claire race to the cave and find Galus preparing for the ritual. Claire tries talking some sense into her, but Galus won't listen. Claire realizes this time
travel. It's cool too how they've been setting up this place and talking about it, like if you go there, like you die, but it's insinuated that they never come back because they're time traveling, which is cool. And this is also really cool because this is the first time we see or know that there's other ways / places to time travel. In Jamaica, it was through like that water thing. They don't have stones in here, right?
Claire realizes this time travel portal isn't made of stones, but is actually a pool of water. When Galus launches herself toward the surface, Claire slashes her throat, killing her instantly. In case you haven't put it together yet, the bones Claire examined earlier this season on Joe Abernathy's table belonged to Galus. As she stands there, Claire is drawn to the portal, but Jamie pulls her back just in time. The two escape with young Ian, and Jamie is beyond relieved to have his family safe again. To celebrate Ian's rescue, Jamie and Claire share a steamy love scene aboard the Artemis. But just as they're about to go for round 2, a massive storm hits, ripping the ship apart. Claire pointlessly puts herself in danger and gets swept overboard. Jamie jumps in after her, and they end up hanging onto pieces of the wreckage until they wash up on the shores of Georgia. They're happy to be alive and together, ready to start.
That was also a little far-fetched, but it's just fun. It's fantasy in that sense, and it sets this up perfectly.
Till they wash up on the shores of Georgia. They're happy to be alive and together, ready to start their next adventure in America. And that's it for Outlander Season 3. Please stay tuned for the recap of Season 4, and remember to subscribe for more great content.
Subscribe. Okay, so they fell into America, which is such a cool concept to me and like makes so much sense that they'd be part of the first generation, I guess, right? Of the new world. Bad with like the timing, but obviously America is new here, so it's really cool that they would be a part of that and like building a life there in America, the land of the free. So yeah, really love that. So epic. It does take a turn and make the show like so different because it's not set in Europe anymore and like European vibes. Again, I love rankings. Please give me season ranking in the comments below if you haven't already. I would love to see it. But when I saw someone's ranking, not on my comments, they said that they found America boring, which I guess I could see. I don't know how I feel about season 4. I guess we'll discuss that then. In the sense of, I think I really did like it. I'm trying to think if I think it was better than like season 2. I don't know. It's just like such a build, and the Brianna stuff is so interesting, even though it kind of doesn't pan out the way I would have liked. We'll talk about it. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's just so interesting going forward, and I guess since I'm so in it right now, I can't view it from the outside. My sister, I can't wait for her to get up to season 1, episode 7. She's on 5 right now, and she's still not fully locked in, but I truly think you can't really get fully locked in until they get married. That's how I felt anyways. Like I was, am I gonna finish that? But once they got married, I was like, okay, I'm here. I don't know. I just think this is very interesting. I love this show. I really think this is my favorite season. I hope I brought out some good vibes, maybe steering your decision, because editing the second one back, like I really didn't have much to say because I don't know. I don't get the season 2 hype. I think overall, like, it's all great. I think season 4 is great. I think it is a great show collectively, but the feelings that season 3 brought out was unlike anything. I was literally in my bed like, like, yes, especially when they reunite it. Please give this video a thumbs up. If you'd like me to continue my Outlander journey, I would really, really appreciate it. Comment below. Let me know that you guys are here and for this and would like me to react to season 7 at least. Yeah, thank you guys so much. It's Billy Bitch.